We've seen a lot of freaky numbers put up this year, but he went to the very top. Monday night, we saw one of the literally historic performances in NBA history. Donovan Mitchell added his name to very rarefied air, sets a Cleveland record with 71 points, the most by an NBA player in 17 years, and helped the Cavaliers rally from 21 down to beat the Bulls in overtime. It is also the most points in a game by any player since Kobe Bryant had 81 in 2006. Unbelievable. We've seen a lot of freaky numbers put up this year, but he went to the very top of those charts. That's going to be a tough one to beat, Kev, 71.
And it's because he needed all of them, right?
Yeah.
To drive the comeback in that second half of the game. And that's what made it all the more impressive. Like, Devin Booker's 70 was incredible. Like, I loved watching that against the Celtics. Granted, he didn't need them, though. Like, this game, they had to fuel a comeback against the Bulls in the second half. And sending it to overtime with the miraculous shot off the rim on the free throw. Granted, it was lane violation. Who cares? The 2-minute Bulls fans care. But for the magnitude of the moment, it's crazy we see that 3 times in a week, with Luka doing it twice, once hitting the shot, once just grabbing the rebound, and then Mitchell doing it last night. But I thought the stat, I saw somebody tweet this out last night, the stat that amazed me, Chris, too, like, he scores 71, but he scored or assisted on 99 points, which is second all-time to Wilt Chamberlain having 104. I mean, like, that also put into perspective for me. Yes, this guy was getting to the rim at will. Yes, he was stepping back from 3 and pulling up from wherever he wanted. Yes, he was scoring. But he was making his teammates better, too, with clutch passes. 24 seconds left in the game, down 3, the lob to Jared Allen. 2 minutes left in the game. Bulls send 2 guys to him. He kicks it out to LeVert for a wide-open 3. So many times throughout that game with the 11 assists that he had, making his teammates better, weaponizing his scoring, and finding the open man. So he wasn't just hunting shots, getting points. He was also distributing around the floor and help win that game for the Cavs on top of scoring 71. Whew.
So unbelievable that when it got to overtime, every time Karis LeVert shot the ball, you're going, no! Like, this guy's got a chance. This guy's got a chance at really getting 70. It's you could tell, well, once that game was going to overtime, you're like, oh, this is in play.
Yeah.
This is in play, that he could get to 70. And for him to get to 71 last night, and the fact that they needed all 71 points is just crazy. You don't see things like this happen often at all. And in fact, to think that it's been since 17 years. 17 years since we've seen somebody do something like that. You know, I was walking out of the arena.
Kobe needed those too. Like the fourth quarter that the Lakers built a lead towards the end, just like the Cavs did in overtime. But like the Lakers needed those points from Kobe that night too.
Well, and didn't I read this morning that he had 16 at halftime? I think that's right.
It was a low number. I think he had
16 points at halftime. So he had 55 in the second half. I mean, that's implausible. Like, again, if it's kind of like, you know, maybe a little more evenly distributed, it becomes more believable. But if that's so,
he did have 16. That's accurate. Just looked it up. 16. Yeah, I mean, I knew it was like under 25. 16's nutty.
I mean, there's just no way you get to 71 if you've had a 16-point half.
I know.
It should be out of the realm of possibility. And, man, can you imagine? I tweeted this about a month ago when I was watching a Cavs game one night, and I think it was against the Pacers, and he had, like, gone to the ground. He wrestled for this loose ball. and it just felt like the tide had turned, and he's doing the whole like pumping up the crowd, and I mean it was like he was holding court in that arena. And fans are just eating it up, and he's like telling them to get louder and even louder. And I'm watching that game, and I tweeted, I said, I can't be happier for a fan base. Like, this is, man, when you make a deal or you attain someone, if this is so far beyond a 10 out of 10 in terms of what you envisioned you might be getting. I mean, he has embraced the city. He's embraced the fans. He's got like this new lease on life. But beyond all of that, he's been the best guard in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, for sure, man. I like sometimes, like Mitchell personally, he thinks he's going home, right, to New York. He thinks he's going to be traded to the Knicks. But sometimes the things that you want most in life, you think it's what's best for you, but something else happens, and that turns out to be what's best for you. And he lands in the situation in Cleveland where, like, he's been the best guard in the East, as you said. He's got the perfect supporting cast. Granted, Darius Garland doesn't play last night, but Garland has very clearly been like, I'm the number 2 behind Mitchell in terms of the scoring and playmaking and, touch hierarchy. Mitchell's the guy. Garland's the playmaker. They have Allen, no Mobley last night either. They have these 2 awesome defenders in the front court and Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. They have a good supporting cast. Kevin Love, who now has sacrificed and plays his role, starts last night, but he's a great 6th man. We've talked about this a bunch of times, Chris. They have all the pieces, except they really need one more wing. Like more wing, but the supporting cast for Mitchell here is perfect. It creates opportunities for him to have spacing in certain lineups, but he also has defensive support. They have the number 1 defense in all of basketball this year. It's not their offense that's fueling their success this year. It's their dominant defense. But then you have guys like Mitchell and Garland who can go out and get buckets for you when needed. Get 71, score 40, whatever it is. Garland, of course, was the first guy earlier this season to score 50 points. He had 51 on November 13th. The first player to crack 50 this year. There's been 13 players this season. Obviously, we'll talk about Clay soon. He did it last night, too. 13 players to score 50-plus points this season so far. I mean, like, they have guys who can do that in Garland and Mitchell, and they're willing to share because Mitchell was not just scoring last night, he was playmaking. Like, what a dynamic with those 2.
And it makes them a very scary playoff opponent.
Totally.
As we look
especially
forward.
If they make one more move. They don't need to, but if they do make one more to even bolster it more.
Oh, of course. And to your point about just needing some wing depth that they have, I was looking this morning because I was looking something up. I had read this article, and it was talking about Jaren Jackson Jr., and it was saying that he has the highest net rating in the NBA at like 12 or something like that, but he doesn't qualify yet. You know who is number 1 in terms of net rating in the NBA? It's Cedi Osman.
Yeah, I was literally about to say Cedi.
It's crazy.
Because Cedi Osman might be the piece that actually exists already on their roster. Like, Cedi's a good role player. He plays like 20 minutes a game, 21 minutes a game.
He is plus 11.5.
But he might be the guy. Like, if they can turn Cedi up to 30 minutes per game, I mean, maybe defensively it hurts you a little bit, but if you get Mobley and Allen protecting the paint,
look, you get open threes. Obviously, they wanted it to be Okoro, and that has not taken. I mean, you just need somebody that can knock down. You're going to get threes. Those guys command so much attention because both of them just can get your defense to break down completely off the dribble. And so that drive and kick stuff, just, man, if they found 1 or 2 guys that could just bang shots, that they get open threes, that they're deadly shooting them because they generate them. They got multiple guys that can generate them.
I think it's possible if we talk about the need for a wing and we maybe make one more trade. I still think that's true. But it really might be just getting Cedi to 30-plus minutes a game. Like, he has 36 last night, banging threes. He's been playing really solid defense all year long. He's not a stopper like Isaac Okoro. He's not a great defensive player. I'm sure he'd be targeted by some matchups, but he's a good shooter. He makes smart decisions, quick decisions on the floor, keeps the ball moving. He's a shooting threat, and he's solid defensively. So maybe he's the answer coming off the bench for the Cavs for that wing position when they need more spacing in some of their lineups that they throw out there.